Hello, I'm Dr. Jeff Kingsley, and welcome to another edition of Riding in Cars with Researchers. Today we're going to talk about cognitive overload and what it is and why you should care. I believe I mentioned the concept of cognitive overload when I was doing the video on vicious versus virtuous cycles. And I know I've spoken about it at several of the recent conferences that I've been presenting at. Cognitive overload is a very real phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that basically means the more inputs in a given period of time, the lower the output. The more I have to pay attention to at the same time, the less I'm able to maintain my concentration and produce a high quality output. You know, there's great data to show that multitasking isn't real. Human beings cannot multitask. It's artificial to think that you can do multiple things with concentration at the same moment in time. Your concentration actually has to shift focus from one thing to another. Unconscious behavior, however, continues because that doesn't require your conscious focus. It just simply happens. But cognitive overload is real. Imagine a neurosurgeon in the midst of neurosurgery, and people are asking this person to solve complicated math equations at the same time while there's music in the background that the surgeon doesn't really like. And nurses are talking about completely other things, sidebar conversations, and somebody else is reading the surgeon's pager messages to him, his text messages to him. Quality would go down. Cognitive overload. Doctors struggle with this all day, every day. One of our investigators had an appointment with me at 3 o'clock today. And when I called him at 3, to discuss a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease trial that we're coming up on. I was to discuss the protocol. He was reviewing the protocol. We were discussing patient populations. We were discussing use of the FibroScan device. So we had this appointment at 4 p.m. and he was prepping for that appointment. But when I called him at 4, he said, "Jeff, can I call you right back? I'm on my way into the OR." "Yeah, absolutely. Call me right back." He was on his way into the OR unplanned because a surgeon was operating on a patient and found a very large gallstone and needed him to determine if he could take it out as an outpatient procedure or if they needed now to pivot and remove the gallstone in the midst of a different procedure that they were there to do at that time. So this guy is a gastroenterologist. He's seeing outpatients. He's doing hospital rounds and rounding on people in the hospital. He's doing procedures. He's doing endoscopies and other procedures. He has on-call responsibilities. He's a principal investigator and he has to pay attention to IE criteria. And he's got an inbox filled with emails from me and CRAs and project managers and from vendors with usernames and passwords. All of that is cognitive overload. When I started this video today, I was thinking about doing a video on cognitive overload, and I was at the entrance ramp. I was at a stoplight, and I was getting ready to hit the record button, but I didn't. Why? Well, because I would be moving down an entrance ramp with the 20 other cars that were around me and then merging onto a highway while driving and thinking through cognitive overload and trying to have a coherent message. And I knew that my quality would go down if I tried to do so. And so I made a conscious decision to wait until I was already on the highway to press the record button. And then I could begin having a conversation with you. As an industry, we need to recognize that cognitive overload is real. And if we want a better output, we need to work hard to decrease the inputs, to simplify what we're doing as an industry. Not to simplify for simplification's sake, not to simplify to make an investigator's life easier, but to simplify because ultimately we all win. There's a quote about it's easy to make things complicated, and it really is, right? I make things complicated. We as an industry have excelled at making things complicated. Making things complicated is easy. Making things simple is hard. And that's why we don't run into simplification all that much. But if we can all agree, and I think we can, that if we can simplify the clinical research endeavor, we will improve enrollment, quality, timelines, and customer service, EQTCS, and we will ultimately get innovation to the patients that desperately need it faster and ultimately more cheaply, which is a win for patients, our taxes, insurance, industry, a win for everyone. If we can all agree that simplification will have all of those ripple effect benefits, then it's a challenge we need to take on. Now, Transcelerate's shared investigator platform, single sign-on, and then the ability to share documents in a singular portal and access to all of the other vendor portals through a single portal is an example of a group of large pharmaceutical companies getting together and saying, hey, we need to simplify some of this. The shared investigator platform is a great example at an attempt at simplification. Adoption of SIP is increasing, but we're not there yet. I don't have a single trial that's on the shared investigator platform today. Nonetheless, I support it, and we're getting there. We need to do much more than that. We need to look in all of the nooks and crannies. What other things could we be doing to reduce cognitive overload as an industry so that we improve EQTCS? There's your thought for the day. Cognitive overload. What's in it for you? Everything. The workload will go up before it goes down. The act of trying to simplify is hard. Ultimately, we all win when we achieve simplification. And if we start today, we will be there in a year or 2 or 3. And it's worth it. Thank you very much. As always, I greatly appreciate you riding along with me. I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy the interaction. Continue to send me your emails. Follow us on all the social media platforms, even if you only choose one. If your preferred method of listening in is through LinkedIn, still follow us on Instagram and YouTube and our podcasts, because it benefits all of us. It helps get this message out further, deeper into the community. I greatly appreciate it, and I look forward to riding along again with you in the future. Take care.